This is Menon, and with me I have Ron Howard, our co-host for Breakfastbanter. Thank you for watching all our podcasts, and we're really happy with the feedback we've got so far. Both Ron and I are partners at MH Consultants, consulting and advisory firm in the Kingdom of Bahrain. And today's topic is of real interest to a lot of people, including me. And Ron is an expert in this topic, and he's going to speak to us about the various facets of corporate governance.
Yes, today's subject is corporate governance and how the recent changes in the Bahrain Corporate Governance Code are affecting and will continue to affect SMEs. So what is corporate governance? Do you know?
Well, it's like a word that we all know, but we don't exactly know what it means. So please enlighten us.
I will. Is the system by which companies are directed and controlled. Simple as that. The board of directors or the owners are responsible for the governance of their companies, and it's the shareholders that appoint the directors and the auditors to satisfy themselves that an appropriate governance structure is in place.
Right.
Yes. So employing good corporate governance helps the company to regulate risk and reduce the opportunities for corruption, theft, embezzlement. The latest version of the Bahrain Corporate Governance Code was issued in 2018. Previously, the code was only mandatory for companies listed on the Bahrain Stock Exchange.
Okay.
From 2019, the code was extended to all joint stock companies.
Okay.
So each year, a joint stock company has to provide the necessary details of corporate governance through the Sigilat website and upload a corporate governance report. Failure to do this, you won't be able to renew your CR or get any new work permits. So it's important and it's serious.
It is. Yeah.
There are 11 principles to adhere to, and within those principles, 127 sections to comply with.
Right.
Some are mandatory, others are for guidance. So compliance is not a small task and can lead to major changes in the way the company governs itself.
Okay. So for our listeners who are interested in this topic, we've included on our Instagram a list of principles, so you can look them up for sure. We'll put them out there very soon. While you watch this podcast, it would already be there on our Instagram. So please take a look.
Now, I'm not going to go through each one by one, obviously, but I'll highlight the 4 pillars from which the code is built. So the first is ensuring that information is provided in a timely and appropriate manner to enable parties to take decisions and run their businesses properly. Second is accountability. You should be responsible for your decisions and the actions you take in relation to management leadership of the company. Justice, that all shareholders, employees and related parties shall enjoy fair and equitable treatment. And responsibility, that the director shall perform their duties with honour, integrity, impartiality and sincerity towards the economy and society in general and the company in particular.
Absolutely, all laudable requirements.
Absolutely, and compliance has caused many changes in the way companies are run. One of the biggest changes is the requirement to appoint a non-executive or independent director. As we know, many SMEs are family-owned joint stock companies, which means the family owns all the shares or stocks. And so they're usually the owners and the managers. And sometimes, even their families, they have not appointed independent directors. They just haven't seen the need for it. They've kept the business in-house, just within the family. And that has been acceptable by law.
Okay.
But the idea of appointing such directors is to improve performance through their objective view of the company's health and operations. They use their experience from their sector or personal experience. They're there to help. Now, while this is only a guiding principle for closed stock companies, not having such directors can cause difficulties because the companies have to appoint board subcommittees.
Okay.
And I'll discuss those in a bit.
So, why would companies not appoint independent directors if they improve corporate governance?
Because they cost.
Mm-hmm.
We have to pay them, these
Yes.
independent directors, and owners would say it's an extra cost without much solid evidence that they are effective.
Okay.
How independent can you be if you're paid by the company that you're advising?
Yes. Yes.
Another major change is the establishment of board subcommittees, namely the audit, nomination and remuneration committees.
Okay.
Having an audit company is mandatory, while the other two are for guidance only.
Okay.
So without independent directors, there's not much reason for having board subcommittees, as the same directors would be reporting at the subcommittee and stage and the main board.
Okay, so is there like a conflict of interest?
There's too many committees. The same people are on all the committees if you don't have independent directors.
Right.
The idea for the audit committee is to bring in external expertise in finance and audit, to be the link between the internal and the external auditors. Maybe, it should be financially qualified,
Right.
possibly owners are not. So that is mandatory to have an audit subcommittee.
Right. Okay. So I see what the problem is here.
Right. The appointment of a corporate governance officer is also mandatory. Now, because when you report, the corporate governance officer has to report at the AGM the company's compliance with the code.
Okay, so apart from uploading these annual governance report and details, etc., to Sigilad, how is implementation of the code regulated?
Well, the external auditors, the company's external auditors also audit your compliance and upload a report to Sigilad regarding that compliance, and also include a paragraph in the auditor's report, the annual financial statement, that the company has complied.
Absolutely. So it's really a very crucial matter.
You can get a qualified audit report, which certainly the banks would not be happy with, and neither would the shareholders, which means you haven't complied.
Absolutely.
Now, remember I said some items are only for guidance.
Right.
Well, that's not quite true, because if you haven't complied, you have to explain why you haven't complied.
Right.
It isn't just leave an empty box.
Yeah, it's
You
not
need
like
to-
nice to have.
No, you need to come up with a different system that
Right.
you think is better, or it's more to do with in line with your industry. So you have to do something. It can't be, oh well, it's mandatory, so I haven't followed it.
It's not mandatory.
It's not mandatory, but you have to do something and explain what you've done.
Okay.
Other companies don't use that system.
Okay.
In America, there's no such flexibility. It's all tick the box. This is what we've done. This is what we've followed, and there's no flexibility.
Okay.
The Bahrain code, which is based on the UK code, allows some flexibility.
Okay.
But if you don't follow part of the code, you've got to explain why.
Okay. So, is this comply or explain system used in other countries? You just told me UK is.
Several other European countries do.
Okay.
I'm sorry I don't know about India or the Far East.
I'll have to find out because I'm
I'm
not aware
very
as well.
Western European. I know what goes on there in America, but so I don't know about other places.
Right. So, do you think this corporate governance has improved because of the code?
I've no doubt it has. Board
Okay.
members now have best practices to follow,
Right.
and they have to prove that with this report, with the corporate governance report. I would actually say I think that Bahrain has the best corporate governance practices in the region.
I think it's really reassuring to know that Bahrain is leading the way.
Yes, and M&H can assist in the implementation of this best practice.
Yes.
We have experience of changing corporate procedures to
Right.
meet the requirements of the code. We've also assisted companies in producing their annual corporate governance reports and uploading them to Sigilat.
Absolutely. And Ron here is a subject matter expert of corporate governance and all things related to corporate governance. And if any of the companies are struggling to kind of comply with the code, we at Image Consultants are very happy to assist.
Yes, we will,
Yes.
yes, to ensure
And,
complete compliance.
Yes, so I think this was a very fruitful discussion, Ron. It's a side of business that I did have a slight idea, but not in depth. And this really helped me understand the importance of corporate governance and the code, and especially what's happening in Bahrain around it. So thank you so much. And
Well, I think that brings us to the end of season 1, doesn't it?
oh yes, absolutely. Thanks for reminding
Yes,
me.
yes.
I mean, it's been a very, very interesting set of discussions that we've had around so many different topics, and we've had guests over, and the response from my network and your network, and overall, a lot of other people have given us such positive feedback around different subject matters that we've discussed.
And we already have season 2 planned out, don't we?
Yes.
We have wonderful guests planned.
Yes, and I'm really, really excited to get on with it actually.
Me too. And we have good subject matter also for SMEs.
Yes, and make sure that you have subscribed to our YouTube channel so that you gain and benefit from the discussion that we have here. You can subscribe at MH Consultants. You can go and search that on YouTube, and you can follow us on Instagram at MH Consultants_PH. Thank you so much for watching.
And thank you for listening.